Alright, case study. We're going to look at a case study and we call this one Overload. This is about poor Mary and how she's taken on too much. One day, Mary was sitting at her desk working on a project when her boss Diane requested a few minutes of her time. Diane began by congratulating Mary for being chosen to develop the new company health insurance policy. She explained to Mary that she was giving her this opportunity because of her extensive experience and management skills. Diane continued to say, "We need a new health insurance policy that requires immediate action because of recent changes in government policy. Normally this type of change would take about 8 months, but we've only got 4 to get it done. We may want a preliminary report in 3 weeks, so you need to get back to me if you've got any questions about what has to be done." Mary felt proud and enthusiastic, and she was really happy that the boss was finally beginning to recognize her skills and abilities. However, when she arrived back at her desk and thought about this new assignment, reality dawned. She already had a large number of projects in progress. She sat down and wrote a list of existing projects. Then she added the employee health insurance policy at the bottom. If she drops everything else to work on this employee health insurance policy, Diane will be pleased. But sooner or later, she's going to want to have results from these other projects. And a couple of projects have a high profile because of agreements with other departments. It would look bad on her if they all fell behind. Mary thinks to herself, "I'm already working 2 evenings a week at home on office work, and my family doesn't appreciate it. What's going to happen if I take this on? Something is definitely not right here. This is an interesting job, but Diane doesn't realise I can't do everything at once. And there's no use telling her that I'm overloaded because she always says, 'So is everybody. We've just got to do the best we can.'" Something is definitely not right here, Mary says. It's an interesting job, but Diane has to realise that she can't do everything at once. And it's no use saying to Diane, "I can't do this. I'm overloaded," because Diane's going to say, "So's everybody. We're just going to have to do the best we can and get the job done." So, what should Mary do? So, you've had a good think of it. Let's look at what Mary should do. First of all, she needs to examine her workload. Now this is a very interesting task that I think everyone should do once in a while when they look at how they're working. Here's a list of her projects, 1 to 4, plus the new employment health policy. And along here is the weeks, going from 1, each column is a week, it goes forward. The pink X marks when the project is due for completion. Underneath there are miscellaneous, regular time items that are needed. So we've got miscellaneous, meetings, phone work, queries, etc. Okay? This is structuring her hourly week. Now, when you look at all the projects, she estimates that project 1 is 10 hours, 2, 5, 3, 5 hours, project 4, 5 hours. The new project, 10 hours. Miscellaneous, 3 hours. Meetings, 6 hours. Phone work, 4 hours. And queries, 2 hours. When you add it up, it comes to 50 hours. Her allocated work time is 38 hours. 12 hours. Almost 2 days extra work than she can do. What does it mean? She's got to work late every night. And not just this week, but next week, and the week after, and the week after. Now on the 4th week, project 3 is completed. That 5 hours goes. When you add up that column, we've gone down to 45 hours. Remember, she's got a 38-hour week. So she might be able to have one night where she gets home to see the kids. But let's look on. The next week, she's finishing off project 1. 10 hours. 2 weeks of 45 and she's down to 35 hours. Now, You might think, oh, well, that's okay, she's 3 hours under. You're assuming that in the 7 weeks that she's been under this pressure, she's not had a day off. Because if she's had a day off, all of these things would have shifted forward because you'd have only had 30 hours instead of 38. You're assuming that she hasn't been given any more work. This is a major issue. It's not until nearly 3 months into the project that she gets down to a 25-hour week based on this workload. When she examines this, what does she have to do? Mary cannot meet the deadlines, so she can either delay projects or delegate. Takes the chart to the manager and lets them see the situation so they can make that decision. Because in this instance, it's for them to see the ramifications of what they want her to do. And she doesn't have to say, I can't do the work. She says, I want to help. I want to be able to do the best I can do. However, look at the situation. If I don't tell you, something somewhere is going to go wrong and people are going to be let down. And I want to tell you now rather than tell you in 12 weeks' time. And staff and managers appreciate this sort of communication. The result, the manager is happy with Mary's professionalism and Mary is happy that she's managed her workload. And this is what we call a win-win. Okay, very useful to do. Now, following on from this very useful aspect about how you organize your weekly workload, I want to go bigger. I want to look at your lives. Because it's not just work time management, is it? It's life time management. This is the 168-hour life plan. Now, who can tell me what 168 hours means? It is how many hours there are in every week. That's not working week, that's life week. Everything you do has to take place within that 168-hour window. So, we've got 2 columns here. Now, and what you would like. What I'd like you to do in this exercise is list out the following columns: sleeping or eating, washing, hygiene, commuting, exercising, maintenance, repairs, socializing, mail or any personal business, reading or study, relaxation, television maybe, planning or thinking, and other in your personal life, and business, that's at work, research, paperwork, talking to colleagues, talking to staff, meetings, customer calls, everything in your working life, suppliers, telephone time, problem solving, HR issues, training and other, because the whole total has to come to 168. I want you to work out what you think you do now. Do not add up till you've got all of the figures down. Because if you try and work out, oh, I've got 4 hours left, I do that. The point of the exercise is seeing how many hours in your week you think you do. That's not per day, that's for the week, and it includes the weekends. Now, when you've done the current situation, and you'll have been surprised by what you see, what I then want you to do is your preferred target for your 168-hour week. What you think you should be doing, what you need to be doing, how much sleep you should be getting during the week, how much time you want to spend exercising, you want to spend reading, studying. What do you want to do, not what's happening? And then when you can see the differences between what is and what isn't, you can start to make changes to your life to make it work. Very few people ever do this. And yet, isn't it important for us to know what we do? How much time we spend living in our life compared to what we want to do? People say, oh, I'd like to start exercising one day. I want to study for a qualification one day. I'd like to learn a language one day, but I just don't have the time. So, if you don't have the time, do you ever make the effort to find out what you're doing with your time? Because if you don't, you can't make the changes. What if your commute is taking up 40 hours of your week? What would you do? How could you reclaim that? That's right, you could move nearer to where you work or get a job nearer to where you live. What if you're spending so much time socializing, but you actually say, do you know what, I don't need to see my friends as much because I'd rather be studying, or vice versa. Know what you're doing, know what you want to do, and make the changes to make it happen. Maybe I'm being simplistic, but to me it's obvious. 168-hour life plan is a real eye-opener, and I'd like you to do that now.